We can say that the time start with universe and will be end with universe.
And you will not be able to talk about the dimensionality of the space. So if
Space,
there is idea of thingness, there are things in space, then we actually need to talk about the dimensionality of the space. This mobile has three dimensions:
yeah.
the denser energy, that are the solid objects to
But
occupy.
question is emerging in my mind: how we can locate the things in space? So we can say that
So,
vacuum is a space.
so according to these my said words, there is no difference between the solid things, all the things we are seeing, even we are made up. Our thought call it as space.
But there is direction exists in space.
Actually,
this is the
I
direction. Direction
kindly
means
give me
it's
some
like a
time
physical
to
entity.
talk about it. Actually, space is not something as it appears as that. If you are using the word recycling parallel to repetition, then this is not reality. A thing
is a becoming entities.
entities, they are
Where from coming these?
actually, when we say existence, it means that whenever we talk about time, actually the idea of thingness, apparently irreversible succession.
But in our dreams, thinkings, we are walking in our previous time and past.
A succession in the past,
Time is irreversible.
that if no one asks me about time, I know.
Welcome to another podcast session. I am your host Yasir Jami. I hope you all are doing well. Again, Dr. Zahid Mughal with me. Thank you, sir. I hope you are doing well.
Yes, I'm fine.
Today we will discuss some different topics. I am thinking about the time. What is time? Space and time. Space time. I am confused. These are related entities. And what is reality behind these concepts?
Actually, to talk about time is not something easy. The concept of time is so difficult and abstruse, complicated, that if one knows it, it is not easier despite knowing to express it suitably. As I can remind you about an earlier Christian philosopher and theologian, Saint Augustine, from Hippo city, that was an ancient city,
Okay.
who wrote in his Confessions book that if no one asks me about time, I know. However, if I have to explain it to someone, I don't know. So
Hmm.
this is actually perfectly reflects the nature of time, and such expressions can hardly be found everywhere. So, according to my best ability, I may share some uh, ideas and the concepts about it. However, the reality of it, it is not easy. The conceived reality by one person to make it express to some other. However, if we could see inwardly, psychologically, we see that time is the continuous progression of existence that occurs at an apparently irreversible succession in the past.
Time is irreversible.
Yes, it is thought, it is taken.
But scientifically, some scientists say that we can travel in
Actually,
time.
let me first complete that.
Okay.
That actually
Sorry.
irreversible succession in the past through the present into the future. For example, I'm putting before you that just see inwardly, and you will see that it is the flow of existence, a flux of existence.
Existence is irreversible.
We see it is irreversible. A day gone never returns. We see it.
Exactly, this is reality.
So time is taken as an apparently, I am using the word apparently, or as sciences usually present, apparently irreversible succession.
But in our dreams, thinkings, we are walking in our previous time and past.
Actually, it is premature to talk about dreams. First, we have to understand what is existence. If we could understand what is meant by existence, then the whole fabric of dreams uh, can be stripped away from this. So, if I put to you that, how do you perceive existence?
As a physical science, there are things that existence.
Actually, time through its essential element of substratum temporality flow
Flow, okay, okay.
breeds the idea of thingness. Whenever we talk about time, actually the idea of thingness emerges surfaces. Because when I say it is the flow of existence, it means that there are things in their entirety in my surrounding that are interrelated happening after one another.
Okay.
But in order to understand existence, I use the word thing, thingness. So, if what we see things as already completed entities, this is not reality. Actually, what we know as things are the becoming entities. A thing,
Is a becoming entities.
entities. They are
Where from coming
conti-
these?
Actually, when we say existence, it means that there are states after states in relation to the things. Things are continuously changing their states from one to the other. So this is how we ascribe the word thingness
This
or
this
becoming to
this
all this scenario.
this is like a transformation from
So
one
time
state
is
to another state.
transformation.
So time is
Time is
transformation.
no more than transformation. However, there are its philosophical aspects, psychological and physical and cosmological.
Okay, okay, okay.
Actually, the whole existential reality is in continuous flow like a river flows. And it is our thought that carves out, chisels out the concept of solid thingness out of it, out of
Okay.
this continuous flowing reality.
It's like flowing, but there is a recycling. Recycling is also a
No,
time
no, no.
can exist.
Actually, if you are using the word recycling parallel to repetition, then this
Repetition.
is not reality. Actually, in nature, every movement is newer, is naive, is something advanced thing. Nature does not repeat itself. Rather, every movement of the nature is new creation,
Always new.
always new. So, time to talk about or ask a question about time means or amounts to asking the nature of existence that has been bred along its temporality.
Okay, okay, okay.
Similarly, but you didn't pose the question of what is a space.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I want to know, I want to interesting to knowing about the relation between space and time. Always we speak space, time, space and time, space and time. What is the
Space
relation?
actual time actually in itself can never be perceived. As I said, time only become perceptible or perceivable if it brings in its sway the idea of thingness. If there are no things, no mutual relationship, no correlations, there will be no creation, there will be no time. That time will be temporality free time, but that time cannot be apprehended by a human mind. What human mind is habitual to apprehend is time with temporality, flow of time. That is actually attached with the idea of thingness.
Okay.
Things are being transformed from state to state. Likewise, its inseparable, integral part, space. Space is not something as it appears as static. three dimensionally that we see. Actually,
But it a
to a,
physical entity. Space is physical entity, has dimension, one dimension, 2D, 3D, 4D.
how can you say? Can you see space having three dimensions?
But if it is in
Let
this,
first me rephrase it, then your question will be addressed. To a layman, space is this empty void, empty expanse. Okay?
okay,
But what the quantum field theory, in quantum mechanics teaches us is that what we call space are actually of quantum fluctuations of physical fields. These quantum fluctuations can be taken as waves of such mentioned fields. Now, when these waves are characterized with all the types of wavelengths, frequencies, and all the counterpart characteristics or properties, when such waves are macroscopically are averaged for a long span of time, they vanish, leaving behind a fact that our thought can't take as a thing, rather feels it something vacuum like. Our thought call it as space.
but there is direction exists na, in space. This
Actually,
is the
I
direction. Direction mean
kindly
it's
give me some
like a
time
physical
to talk
entity.
about it. Actually, what I am saying is that the existential reality that is perceived in space and time is actually, as I said earlier, flow of this existence. And it is our thought through its construct of space and time. Actually, thought carves out when our thought through its instruments of senses sees around it in its vicinity. Then, where there is denser energy density of existence, thought reads it as thing,
Thing, yeah, yeah.
and where there is quantum like energy vibrations, it reads that as vacuum and calls it as space.
So we can say that
So,
vacuum is a
so
space.
according to these my said words, there is no difference between the solid things, all the things we are seeing, even we are made up of, and this empty void we call space. There is no difference.
You
Just difference is of denser and lighter energy density.
you are right. Your definitions are true. But question is emerging in my mind: how we can locate the things in space if it is not like a
Oh, now I
physical
address that question. Okay. Space actually does not have any dimension. Space is what I just described or defined before you.
like a vacuum?
Actually, now this lighter energy density fluctuations allow the solid energy density in itself that are called things. Okay, this is the perception of time. This is the understanding of our thought
Time should.
that one energy density is read by our thought as a solid thing and the other as a space vacuum. However, what I am calling space are the quantum fluctuations of quantum fields, as I said earlier. Now, what the denser energy density, that is a solid thing, when is put in this quantum fluctuation energy density. Now, thought only sees an object when there are three dimensions attached to that body or
Yeah,
object.
X, Y, Z,
For
direction,
example,
dimension.
if an object, all the objects or things we are seeing around us are three dimensional.
Yeah.
If one dimension is made to zero, is made to vanish, I am putting to you this challenge of seeing that can you see that object in that state? when one dimension has been made zero?
It's difficult to see. It will be invisible, maybe
It
visible.
will become invisible. So to be an object, to be a body, requires necessarily three dimensions. Actually, this low density quantum fluctuations we call space allow the denser energy that are the solid objects to occupy, to reside in it. So actually we ascribe the dimension of an object to this space like energy fluctuations. Or in simple words, when we talk about the dimensionality of space, actually dimensions belong to the objects that are residing in the space.
It means
For
space.
example, this mobile has three dimensions.
Yeah.
Dimensions are ascribed to this mobile, but in mathematics, in physical sciences, we talk about the dimension of space. Actually, this mobile is allowed by this space to get be occupied. So the property of dimensionality of this object actually is given to that space that occupy it.
Okay, okay. You are saying well.
If actually you take out all the objects from this space somehow, if you can take, then space will become meaningless, and you will not be able to talk about the dimensionality of the space. So if
Space.
there is idea of thingness, there are things in space, then we actually need to talk about the dimensionality of the space, of how many nature, of what nature the objects this space can occupy.
Space dependent on objects.
You
Without
can
space,
say,
without object, space is not
actually
anything.
modern physics, what modern physics taught us is the idea you are talking about.
Okay, okay,
if
okay.
if there are no objects in this space you call space, the space will demolish itself.
Okay, okay. You well said, but I can say that time is existence and space has not any existence. How we can relate these to each other? One is existence, one is
They
existence dependent
actually,
on objects.
if you know, in the Greek antiquity, Aristotle wrote a small booklet named as Categoria. Now, English word is
Categorical
category.
category.
That is actually the name of that book.
Okay, okay,
Okay. In that book, Aristotle actually discerned 10 categories. One is substance, and other are accidents.
accidents.
Accidents means philosophically that could not subside itself, that could not exist themselves. They actually, their existence actually depends upon other things like colors, dimensions, because object is there and it has properties that are fixed to it, like colors, weight, voluminous, and all such. All these are the accidents in philosophy, in Greek philosophy. In that philosophy, there were 10 categories that were used to describe the complete world. Now, out of that 10 categories, the modern physical sciences has adopted seven physical quantities. You would have to, learned in physics.
Yeah.
And out of seven base physical quantities, three are the most fundamental: length, mass, and time.
These are fundamental.
But what is the difference? In Greek time, when Aristotle discerned 10 categories to define the complete world, actually, that 10 categories were discerned, were distinguished, or described or defined in qualitativeness, to see the qualitative aspects of the things. But modern sciences have taken 7 out of those 10 which belong to the quantitative aspects of the things. For example, uh, in 10 Aristotelian categories, uh, place or space
Place or
is
space are exact, or there are another?
actually more general is space, and place is a particular case of space.
Okay.
Some place in space. So Aristotle defined place or space as one category from that 10, and that is the qualitative aspect of a thing. However, in our 7 base physical quantities, that is transformed into length,
Okay.
not space. Space is a general term or word. But out of that place or space, when we talk about one dimension
So
as length, width, or height,
so we
then that is measurable.
so
That
we
is quantitative aspect.
okay, so we can say that space is like a darkness. Absence of thing is space. Absence of place is space.
Absence of
Place, things, objects.
yes, you are
It's look like a
talking very
darkness.
beautifully. Actually, what you are talking that if there is no place in the space,
Yeah.
whether the space would subside its existence there. So I am saying that if all the objects somehow are taken away or taken out of it,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
then space could not keep itself there as a existing entity or reality.
Because it is dependent on these places and things.
Actually, the more general idea is that space, time, and matter are concomitant.
Con.
Concomitant means that could exist interdependently.
Yes. Okay.
So, if there is space, there must be time. And if there is matter, consider you are unfamiliar with the idea of time and space. You just talk about matter. Matter itself will breed the idea of space and time,
Okay.
because space and time uh, in their inner reality breed the idea of thingness. If there is something, then time and space or space time become meaningful. So this is how we put these entities at introductory level. However, their philosophical aspects, their psychological aspects, and their cosmological aspects are yet there to be talked about, and they are very interesting. And there is a great deal of
There is
profound thinking regarding these aspects.
similarities exist, or these three concepts are different.
No, actually, for the first time, when the beginning of this universe started, that was the beginning of time as well.
Okay.
That is
Beginning of universe is
that
the beginning
scientists
of time.
have theorized beginning of time at the Big Bang, because Big Bang is the first movement of time when creation started.
So we can say that the time start with universe and will be end with universe.
Yes, presently physical theories are thinking at this in this direction are thinking. However, when for the first time cosmologically universe began, time started.
And when universe will be end, time will be end.
Yes, you can conclude from it. However, and how the universe did begin?
Big Bang.
Big Bang, something came into existence. Actually, what I want to stress is that Big Bang started, time began. That is, something came into being due to time. However, the reality of this natural phenomena you possess, I have, I was not there then, because emergence of man in the universe started far beyond the Big Bang occurred. So it means that cosmological time started far before the emergence of man. However, the time you are perceiving as the necessary ingredients of the flow of existence in you, that is your psychological time.
Okay, okay, okay.
And on the other aspect, when we focus on the philosophy of time, the whole existence in to the eyes of a philosopher becomes unreal. All this reality is not objectively existing there, rather it is my subjective inward phenomena, my psychological phenomena. If I am here, all the things are there.
There. Okay, okay.
So these aspects are in this way uh, interrelated. However, they can be discerned with contrast to our with regard to our presence here and our non-presence. So this is how we somehow can talk about time and space.
space. Some scientists says that we can travel in time. What is your opinion in light of your knowledge? We can travel in time. Time travel is
Actually, time
possible.
travel is one physical application put forward by the theory of relativity
Yeah.
as by Einstein. However, physically, until now, this has been made possible. However, what it actually means, it can't be said easily. Actually, what the unfolding by mystics say, maybe that would be the time travel, because modern psychology and the revelations of the mystics all say that all the existence, all the consciousness lies coalesced, light in unison with one another. We are, according to our thoughts, two persons. But if we somehow can suppress our thought, and thought means our egos, our me's, our memory as knowledge. If somehow we can suppress, then we will get unified.
Okay.
So it is our egos, our thoughts that are making us two individuals. So time travel, I believe that it is already has been traveled by the
Travel.
saints, by the prophets, by the mystics. However, how it can be perceived, understood, figured out physically,
Physically, yeah.
that yet remains there, and relativity theories have given a direction to explore it, but there is no hopeful advance in this direction yet. However,
In future will be
in
maybe.
future maybe there be great stride to understand it.
Okay, okay. Thank you for your precious time. Today we discuss about space, time and space and these concepts. Thank you for watching. If you are new viewer, kindly subscribe, like, share and comment and stay tuned for the next coming episodes. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your precious time again and thank you for watching this podcast.